Hello and welcome back to the FPL Tom YouTube channel. In today's video we're going to be covering the best Mohamed Salah replacements ahead of double game week 22. Over the past few weeks, Mohamed Salah and Liverpool just haven't quite been at the levels we've come to expect over the past few seasons, and personally I don't think he's representing his 12.8 million value in worth in terms of FPL points. So I've identified 4 players you should potentially be looking to bring in to your teams for the upcoming double game week. If you do enjoy the content that you see on the channel, please like, please comment, and please subscribe, as we are trying to hit 1,000 subs here on the channel. And also, we do now have a TikTok where I upload kind of shorter form FPL videos. If that is something that potentially interests you, then I'll leave a link down to that in the description below. But that's enough waffle from me. Let's dive into today's players. And the first potential Mohamed Salah replacement that we're going to look at in today's video is Bruno Fernandes, a player who is on the top of my transfer priorities right now, a player I think I am going to potentially move to away from Salah towards Bruno Fernandes, and that is down to a few simple key facts. The amazing potential double that they have in game week 22. Obviously this is based on FA Cup progression in the 4th round, which is this weekend, so if you are looking at potentially bringing in one of these Manchester United players, do just hold off until these games have been played and the fixtures are 100% confirmed. But it's Crystal Palace and Leeds at home. Amazing double that one, especially a player like Bruno Fernandes, who over the past 5 game weeks has kind of seen a little bit of a resumption in his form that we came to see a few seasons ago. 2 goals, 3 assists, 39 points scored, and the best bit about it all is that expected assists, get my words out there, 3.35. There is no player over the past 5 game weeks who's even got close to that. Not even Kevin De Bruyne is getting close to what Bruno Fernandes is putting up in terms of expected assists. So I think that's what you can expect to see if you do bring him in your team. Don't kind of expect the goals, expect the assists to potentially come, because the underlying data there is absolutely flipping fantastic. As well, he's had the second most attempted assist over the past 5 game weeks, only behind Kieran Trippier, and this season so far has only scored 4 goals and 5 assists, which is a little bit concerning, but we are very much bringing him in over the short term. I think you potentially could move away from Fernandes in game week 23 and go to Kevin De Bruyne, as Manchester City also have a double in that game week. But I do think if you want to hold on to Bruno as well, there is that option. Game week 23 Leeds, game week 24 Leicester, and then game week 25 there potentially could be a blank depending on Carabao Cup progression, but we'll kind of come to that bridge when we have to cross it. Obviously those fixtures are taking place this week and next week, so we will have to make a decision around what we want to do with Manchester United players. But Bruno Fernandes was the first player that I'm going to suggest you bring into your teams this week and replace Mohamed Salah with. Let me know down in the comments below, are you potentially looking at bringing in Bruno Fernandes? And the next player that I'm going to recommend is Bukayo Saka. Obviously doesn't have a double in game week 22 over Bruno Fernandes, but it is a very good fixture in Everton away. Everton at the moment are in absolute disarray. It looks like Fat Frank is going to be getting sacked as well. That's kind of the rumours that are going around. I don't even think he potentially could make this Arsenal game as well. That's how kind of dire things are at the moment. So potentially they could be even in a worse situation with a caretaker manager. It just could be an absolute mess. It's a mess on and off the pitch at that club at the moment. So Arsenal could absolutely destroy them. Then in game week 23, they do take on Brentford, which isn't the easiest fixture. Brentford at the moment are very well organised side, doing exceptionally well this season. But at that point, they could potentially be without Ivan Toney, making them kind of a little bit of a less potent kind of attacking force. So I definitely think there is potential there at the Emirates as well. So Arsenal having a really good record there this season. Then the other game in game week 23 is Manchester City, the absolutely huge masterpiece. Honestly, that game is going to be incredible. No, it's not. It's going to be 0-0. We all know it. All these games that are like the blockbusters, they're built up. They're always 0-0s, aren't they? But it's going to be an absolute spectacle. I hope, because obviously they're both kind of going to be fighting for the title. If Manchester City win it, it could be a huge confidence blow for Arsenal, but it's a massive game, and the big players like Saka's, like your Odegaards, they're going to have to show up, and I do think that potentially he could do that. He's a wonderful, wonderful player. He proved that yesterday. Absolutely incredible. The other thing I like about Saka as well is that he is on penalties for Arsenal, which is a huge, huge asset in this game. Look at Ivan Toney. The points that he's been getting so far this season, a majority of them are coming from the penalty spot. A lot of players as well picking up a lot of points this year from the penalty spot. It's a really, really undervalued asset in my opinion. I think I spoke about it earlier last year. Speaking about talisman theory, these players that are kind of the key players, they're on the penalties, they're taking all the kind of free kicks, they're just picking up bonus points for just being on them, and then obviously get the opportunities to take them, and just it's just so much points on the line there. And I do think Saka is one of those players as well, fits that theory, having a great season, 7 goals, 8 assists for him. And I do think it kind of, with the introduction of Leandro Trossard as well, I do think him and Odegaard have become a lot more desirable options. As we did see in that Manchester United game, Martinelli was subbed in the 70th minute. So I do think we are going to see a lot more rotation on that left-hand side, especially with Emil Smith-Rowe as well coming back in. And I do think Saka and Odegaard are a lot more nailed than Martinelli. But Bukayo Saka was the second player that I'm going to recommend you replace Mohamed Salah with. Let me know down in the comments below, are you thinking about the Arsenal midfielder? Moving on to our third player that I'm going to recommend as a Salah replacement, and it is the man in form, the man going for a purple patch at the moment. It is Riyad Mahrez. Absolutely killing it at the moment is this lad. 3 goals, 4 assists in his past 5 game weeks, and 45 points scored. Honestly, going through an insane purple patch at the moment. The thing I like about Mahrez as well is he's just such a good player. I was speaking to one of my friends about this. I think if he played for any of the other kind of top 4 teams, I think we'd appreciate how good he actually is. But with Manchester City, these players kind of just rotate in, rotate out, come in, come out. It's kind of the Pep Guardiola way, and I don't think we fully understand how good these players actually are. And Riyad Mahrez, he's got proof in FPL, he's got that kind of history, absolutely explosive player as well. Second highest scoring player over the past 5 game weeks, and like I said, a real special talent. The only things that do kind of put me off potentially bringing in Mahrez is the fixtures aren't as good as we've seen with Bruno Fernandes and Saka. Game week 22, Tottenham away, a very difficult fixture. Obviously Manchester City and Tottenham do kind of have this kind of little bit of history where Tottenham sometimes get the better of them. Obviously, in the most recent result, it was 4-2 Manchester City, but they did go 2-0 down. Obviously, Heung-min Son and Harry Kane both have kind of good records against Tottenham. Then in game week 23, they do take on Aston Villa, which I think, again, is another team that's kind of taken a little bit of a turn over the kind of the past few game weeks since the World Cup. Emery's kind of working his magic, making them a lot more difficult side to beat. Then obviously, like we spoke about, game week 23, that fixture against Arsenal, which is going to be absolutely blockbuster and huge. 24 Nottingham Forest, great fixture. 25 Bournemouth as well, absolutely tantalising that one. I think the later fixtures for Mahrez are a lot more appealing than the kind of the short terms as well. And my only other problem with potentially bringing in Riyad Mahrez is the manager. It's Pep Guardiola. The big bold fraud absolutely loves to just put players on the bench for absolutely no reason. We've seen this earlier with Foden earlier in the year when he was absolutely killing it and then just, you know, on the bench. Cancelo now, you know, one of arguably the best fullbacks in the world over the past few years. Benched him. Cool. And I could easily see him doing something absolutely daft like this with Mahrez in the form of kind of his life at the moment. And he'll just go, we'll just bench him. We'll just bench him because I can. That is my only concern with Riyad Mahrez. But like I said, I do really like that price point that he's at. Really low ownership as well. There's a lot of these players that are coming out now. Obviously, we're kind of moving away from the Salahs who's got high 20, like 30% ownership. We're moving to a lot like less owned players. This is kind of this period where if we get it right over the next few weeks, we could absolutely fly up the ranks, and that's what I want for everyone. That's what we want to see. You absolutely smashing FPL, but it is getting these decisions right. So let me know down in the comments below what you think of Riyad Mahrez as a potential transfer target. But let's move on to the fourth and final player as a Mo Salah replacement. And the final player that we're going to take a look at in today's video is Mitoma, the Japanese international that everybody at the moment is falling in love with. 3 goals, 1 assist and 33 points over the past 5 game weeks. And honestly, He is a mesmerising player, absolutely eye-catching. I was watching the Brighton game this weekend, watching the runs he was doing, watching the balls he was putting in. His goal as well was absolutely sensational. And honestly, he's going to be one of these players, if he gets high owned and you don't own him, honestly, it's going to be scary watching Brighton games, especially because he's honestly absolutely fantastic. The reason I've put him in here is I think if you want to downgrade Salah, you haven't got Kane, you can easily put Mitoma in and then go and get Kane for like a Mitrovic or someone like that, because Kane has been a really consistent scorer this season. I think he's a player that you're going to need in the second half of the year. I think he potentially might have something to prove, potentially maybe looking for a transfer away in the summer, especially if Conte leaves as well. That could be a big story developing that we see there. So I think Mitoma could be that nice enabler to get you to Kane. Like I said, a wonderful player. Good fixtures as well coming up for Brighton. Bournemouth at home, absolutely brilliant fixture. Crystal Palace away, they've not been in the best form over the past few weeks. Fulham have the worst expected goals in the league. And then game week 25, they potentially could have a blank due to Carabao Cup involvement if Newcastle make the final. However, Brighton do have two fixtures that do need to be rearranged. And you imagine the Premier League with running out of time and fixture slots available, you imagine if they were smart, they'd put a fixture in there. And the fixtures I think they've got available, one is Crystal Palace, and I can't remember the other one off the top of my head, but I remember it being a green on the old, FPL chart, so it is a good fixture. And at 5 million as well, he's very easy just to bench if you don't fancy playing him. Second highest scoring Brighton player over that period of time, only behind Solly Marsh, but I do think over the longevity of this rest of the season, I do think Mitoma is going to catch up to Solly Marsh's points total, because honestly he's so good to watch at a bargain bottom price as well. I think if you maybe want to keep Salah or you don't own Salah, I think a Almiron replacement as well, Mitoma is the perfect example of that. Those were the 4 players that I've included as potential Mohamed Salah replacements. Let me know down in the comments below which one you potentially got your eye on, or if I've missed any out, let me know down in the comments section below. But thank you very much for watching. I hope you did enjoy the content. Please like, comment and subscribe to the channel, and good luck this game week.